ward off death. Obey the road code.
A message from the Road Safety Unit in the Island Traffic Authority.
Thanks for staying with us right here on Sunrise. Well, since the start of the month of September, there have been a number of road fatalities that have garnered national attention and raised concern. Everything from the student who lost his life on the very first day of school, on the way to school, to the recent crashes involving members of the constabulary, and as well as the Eastwood Park incident. Education and Information Officer at the Island Traffic Authority. He is Dante Matthews. He's always willing to talk to us. He joins us this morning to discuss the current situation on our roads, as well as the possibility of a crash-free Jamaica. Dante, welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning, Dante.
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Yeah.
You?
Dante, when I look at the numbers, it's depressing.
Depressing.
And I think one of the most depressing parts of it is the fact that we're having more crashes than accidents. A lot of what, is reported based on, my knowledge and reading, and it can be avoided.
Yeah.
Dante, what more? Because the traffic authority, you have a very robust social campaign going on. We see the ads.
National Road Safety Council, Ministry of Transport,
Yes.
Jamaica Constabulary Force.
So how much more?
Everybody's trying to do their thing.
Yes, and so it's now up to us as road users to adhere to the road code, to ensure that we pay attention on the road and have that change in our behavior.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the crashes that we're seeing are attributable to human error.
Yes, yes, and human negligence. Yeah.
When you study the numbers, I mean, because you look at things from a more macro perspective, in many instances, we're looking at isolated instances and but from a macro perspective, standing back, what are some of the patterns that you are seeing? I mean, we know, for instance, in Westmoreland, a lot of bike accidents, and it is, and that is accounting for a number of the fatalities. But what are some of the other patterns that you notice?
All right, so you mentioned the motorcyclists, especially in Western Jamaica. We're looking at our young people accounting for a lot of the crashes as well. So when we look at the fatalities, the 20 to 29, that age group, they're accounting for a lot of the fatalities. Up to this morning, we have recorded 268 fatalities, and 66 of those fatalities are young people. We're looking at parishes such as you mentioned, Westmoreland, Hanover. When it comes to Centre now, especially the hotspot areas, we're seeing a lot of speeding as the #1 cause, followed by overtaking improperly and pedestrians walking out or standing in the middle of the road.
It is so frustrating. I mean, again, if we're staying on Westmoreland, you read stories of 2 bike men perishing as a result of a head-on collision. And I just can't understand how you got into a head-on collision, 2 bike men. But there are so many other accidents that are one-vehicle accidents. Are you seeing a lot of those? You're not crashing into any other vehicle.
They're crashing into a wall or a light post. And usually when you see a crash like that, it can be a combination of different factors, including distracted driving, maybe fatigue. Those things also play a factor in crashes.
Is it that we need to start from, say, high school, right? Or maybe even, I don't even know, primary school, to engender that behavior change coming up. Because I don't know if all of these social marketing campaigns are working on the drivers that we have now. Should we do something to start from the very embryonic stages so that it is inculcated in them, Dennis, from them little? So by the time they get to being a driver, they would have had that kind of conditioning.
Yes, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because we do have a public education program in schools. So we start with as early as infant, they're pedestrians, passengers, so we start with them. And just last week, even tomorrow, we're heading to schools. So, the school term has begun. We have been out there in schools. We resume this week. We have a program in high schools as well, the Learner Driver Education Program. We launched it at York Castle last year, January, where we go to the schools. We teach them the road code, road safety, the process to get the learner's permit, and just general road traffic act and regulations. And a part of that program, we allow them to sit the road code test on campus to get their learner's permit. So they have been trained from as early as possible so that when they go out there, when they leave school, they have the mindset of being a good driver.
Nice.
And, you know, the schools they're receptive. We'll be doing a couple more schools this term, and that's something that we really enjoy doing because it tells us that, and interestingly, parents at the school, teachers also come on
and benefit,
they benefit from this program because they realize the importance of, you know, learning the road code. It's very important that you know the road code.
Let me ask you, Dante, quickly, because there are worse things than death, right? And accidents and crashes.
Yes.
Rip families apart, change lives. Do you have any empirical data in terms of, outside of death, what else is happening? Because losing an arm, losing a leg, being, you know, paralyzed from the neck down, or from
vegetables.
Do we have those? Because maybe, Dennis, if persons understood these things are new, the numbers, they would probably take a step back and ease off the gas.
Yes, I don't have the numbers now, but I know, working closely with the Ministry of Health, and doctors can tell you that the amount of crashes or victims of crash that come into the hospitals, you see, and even when we go out, we show photos of motorcyclists losing toes and when they don't wear the helmet, the hand, everything. So they can tell you that sometimes the cost to care is great because you're talking about somebody who used to work and provide the breadwinner in the family, no longer will be able to provide for the family because they are now in a bad state. And then, so that's the shift we're planning to make now. The focus we're trying to look forward to, where we create ads now showing, we want to play with the mind. So, for example, a father who has a daughter, we want to, you know, appeal to the father's emotion. You have your daughter at home. You don't want your daughter to call another man daddy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes,
you
slow
don't want
down.
your wife to call another man. Right? So and I said, and I'm saying males because the males are accounting for the highest, over 85%.
Wow.
So that's the reason,
It's even like the unfortunate situation with the 4-month-old baby. I think it was Westmoreland where that crash happened. And I'm saying a family is now plunged into grief forever and ever because of that accident, right? And also when these accidents happen or crashes happen, the financial burden that is now on the family.
Because, you know, the money to care, to take care of,
It's just not worth it, guys. It's not worth it.
The reality is that a lot of what the ITA and other stakeholders can do is moral suasion because, I mean, how much more can you do? But aside from moral suasion, there is the legislation. The legislation has become much more strict. And the punishments are greater and everybody was bawling and whatever. But have you seen where the legislation has caused any serious change in behavior as we would hope?
All right. Well, when we go to our public expos and our regular exhibitions, we find that when persons come to the booth, they are seeking knowledge. They want to know more about the act, especially when it comes to the demerit points. Persons will ask, how many points will I lose? All of that, or how many points will I gain? Because you actually gain points. So we usually correct them. And then they'll say, oh, but I don't want my license to get suspended. So I need to, like, they'll literally tell you when you talk to them, they'll tell you, oh, I need to ease off the gas them and I'm going to skate on the toll. And they'll tell you, because they don't want their license, because a lot of these road users or motorists, their driver's license is what they use to get their, to make their livelihood. So they'll tell you that. Also, we have seen a 10% reduction in road fatalities when compared to last year. When it comes to the crashes, the fatal crashes, we're seeing a 17% reduction. Over the weekend, we lost 9 persons. Actually, this morning when I looked at the report, 1 was added, so it's now 10 over the weekend, a motorcyclist in Clarendon was added to the fatalities for the weekend.
Well, Dante, thank you for the work that you do, and you know, we are here to also disseminate the information to our citizens that we can learn from other people's mistakes. If you hear that a particular stretch of road, Dennis, is a hot spot for accidents, or you know, said dear, so just slow down, take extra precaution when you are, you know, say when I used to drive like on a flat bridge, I come off the phone meter. I'm not talking to a soul. I am so focused and cautious because you want to be careful. When you reach on a certain stretch of road, you slow down extra, right, guys? It is better to be 10 minutes later in this world than 5 minutes early into the next. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of times, Dennis, where your speed I go, you're not going anywhere. You're done literally. You don't have an emergency, and you're not a shutter driver as you think you are. Okay? Please.
Lewis Hamilton,
right?
You're not.
And the most important thing too is when you do reckless driving, careless driving, and negligent driving, you also put other innocent people's lives at risk for dead left for them family, right? So please, guys, let us all learn now. Let us do better and try to be a crash-free Jamaica. Our wonderful guest this morning has been Dante Matthews, Education and Information Officer at the Island Traffic Authority. The Dead Left series. Hello. If you don't hear, you're going to feel. It's right up after this. Take heed.